There's a woman named Rachel. She makes $127,000 a year as a software engineer in Austin, Texas. Last spring, her car broke down. Repair bill, $1,400. She couldn't pay it. Not because she was broke. She had 3 credit cards, but 2 were maxed out on things she genuinely cannot remember buying today. The third had just enough room for the repair, which she's still paying off 7 months later at 24% interest. Rachel isn't irresponsible. Rachel isn't bad with money. Rachel has a computer science degree. She understands compound interest better than most people alive, and she still ended up here. Here's the thing nobody told Rachel, and nobody is telling you either. Her problem wasn't income. It wasn't discipline. It wasn't that she needed another budgeting app. Her problem is that her brain, your brain, my brain, every single human brain on this planet was never built to create wealth. It was built to survive. And in 2026, those 2 things are almost completely at war with each other. Let me show you exactly what's happening inside your head every time you make a financial decision. Picture this. You're walking through Target. You came in for paper towels. You leave with $340 worth of things you didn't plan to buy, including somehow a throw pillow in a color that doesn't match anything in your apartment. Sound familiar? That's not weakness. That's not a lack of discipline. That is your brain running a program it's been running for 200,000 years. A program designed for a world that no longer exists. Your brain has 2 modes. Think of it like this. One part of your brain is a rocket scientist, slow, methodical, calculating the exact trajectory to get you to your financial goals. The other part is a golden retriever, impulsive, easily distracted, and absolutely losing its mind over whatever is right in front of it. The rocket scientist knows you should invest that $340 instead of buying the throw pillow. The golden retriever already has the throw pillow in the cart. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. In almost every financial decision you make day to day, the golden retriever wins. Research shows over 90% of everyday spending decisions happen automatically, before your logical brain even gets a chance to weigh in. You are not making conscious choices about your money as often as you think you are. Your brain is making them for you. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is the first specific trap your brain has set for you, and it's called present bias. Here's how it works in real life. You're at Starbucks, $7 latte. Your brain says, yes, absolutely, right now, let's go. You open your investment app, put in $7. Your brain says, maybe later. Same $7. Completely different emotional response. That's present bias. Your brain is literally wired to value things you can have right now significantly more than things you'll have in the future. Not a little more. Research from Princeton shows different parts of your brain activate for immediate versus future rewards. The part that lights up for right now is the same region that responds to physical pleasure. The part that activates for 10 years from now is the same region that does math homework. You are not fighting laziness when you can't make yourself invest. You are fighting a system that evolution spent hundreds of thousands of years building. And the financial industry knows this better than you do. Every buy now, pay later app ever created, Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, is a direct hack of present bias. They are not offering you convenience. They are exploiting the gap between your impulsive brain and your rational brain, and charging you interest on the distance. They built billion-dollar companies on the fact that your golden retriever brain cannot comprehend next month. Okay, and here's where it gets weird. The second trap isn't about wanting things, it's about being terrified of losing them. Psychologists call it loss aversion, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it everywhere. Here's the experiment that proved it. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman gave people 2 choices. Option A, I give you $50 right now, guaranteed. Option B, flip a coin. Heads you get $100, tails you get nothing. Mathematically, these are identical. Expected value, $50 either way. A perfectly rational being would not care which option they picked, but humans overwhelmingly picked option A, every time, across thousands of people. Then Kahneman flipped it. Option A, you lose $50, guaranteed. Option B, Flip a coin. Heads, you lose $100. Tails, you lose nothing. Now people overwhelmingly picked the gamble. What this proved changed economics forever. Losing something feels about twice as painful as gaining the same thing feels good. Your brain is not a balanced scale. It is dramatically asymmetrically wired to avoid loss. Now watch how this destroys people financially. This is why people hold a losing stock for years, waiting to break even while it bleeds out. Selling feels like locking in a loss. Holding feels like hope. So they hold and hold and hold. This is why people don't negotiate their salary. The potential sting of a no, which the brain registers as a loss, outweighs the potential joy of a raise, even when the math is absurdly in their favor. One conversation could be worth $10,000 a year, but the fear of rejection wins. This is why people stay in terrible financial situations, bad leases, bad subscriptions, bad insurance plans, because canceling feels like losing something, even when staying is objectively costing them money every single month. Loss aversion isn't protecting you. In the modern financial world, it is one of the most expensive psychological patterns a person can have. Now, the third mechanism is the one I think about the most, because it's the one that has gotten dramatically worse in the last 5 years. It's called social comparison, and your brain was simply not built for what it's being asked to do right now. Here's the original design. For most of human history, you lived in a tribe of about 50 to 150 people. Your brain evolved to track where you stood relative to those people. This was useful. It helped you navigate resources, alliances, status. Your brain still runs that exact same software today, except your tribe is now 2 billion people on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all showing you the most optimized, curated, highlight reel version of their financial lives. And your ancient tribal brain cannot tell the difference between your actual neighbors and a stranger in Dubai with a rented Lamborghini and a ring light. A 2024 study from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York found that regular exposure to high-consumption social media content increased people's discretionary spending by an average of 11%, even when controlling for income and age. 11%, just from looking at other people's stuff. But here's what that study didn't measure, and what I think is even more damaging. Most of what you're comparing yourself to isn't real. The business class photo was booked on credit card points attached to a card carrying a $22,000 balance. The kitchen renovation is being financed at 9% through a home equity loan. The new Range Rover in the driveway is a 72-month loan that the owner is quietly stressed about every single month. You are comparing your internal financial reality, your actual account balances, your actual anxiety at 2 a.m. to other people's external financial performance. You are losing a competition that was never real to begin with. So what do you actually do? Because this is where I'm going to be different from every other finance video you've watched. I'm not going to tell you to be more disciplined. I'm not going to tell you to think about your future self. Your golden retriever brain does not care about your future self. It will be back tomorrow making the same decisions. Motivation is not a system. The only thing that actually works against hardwired psychology is hardwired structure. You cannot think your way out of evolutionary biology, but you can build a life where the path of least resistance leads somewhere good. For present bias, automate everything. Savings transfer on payday before you see the money. Not what's left over, before. Research consistently shows people who automate savings save 3 to 4 times more than people who try to save manually with identical incomes. You're not fighting your brain. You're routing around it entirely. For loss aversion, change your language. Your brain responds differently to, I'm giving up $200 versus, I'm choosing $200 of this over $800 in 10 years. Same math. But the second framing activates your planning brain instead of your fear brain. Do this consistently, and you will start making different decisions, not because you became more disciplined, but because you changed which part of your brain is driving. For social comparison, this one requires the most aggressive intervention. Audit what you're feeding your brain. Unfollow, mute, or restrict every account that makes you feel financially behind. This is not antisocial. This is one of the most financially rational acts you can take. Your comparison brain doesn't know the difference between seeing something and not seeing it, but your bank account will. Rachel in Austin didn't have an income problem. She didn't have a discipline problem. She had an architecture problem. Her brain was doing exactly what it was built to do, chasing immediate reward, avoiding perceived loss, closing the gap between herself and the curated lives she saw online every day. The problem is that brain was designed for 12,000 BC, and she's living in 2026. The gap between those two things, between the brain you have and the financial world you're actually navigating, is where wealth quietly disappears for millions of people who should know better. You now know what you're dealing with. The golden retriever is not going anywhere, but now you know it's driving, and that means you can finally start building the roads that take you somewhere it can't mess up.